Hello and welcome to another edition of the Crypto Club and Digital Assets Weekly Catch-Up on Zoom. It is Sunday the 2nd of February 2025 and we're going to be hearing from whoever shows up today, and we're going to be talking about whatever topics they want to discuss. So we never know quite where we're going to go with these sessions, but they're always interesting and informative and educational. Hope you enjoy them, so do stick around. We hold these events every Sunday evening on Zoom, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time. Everyone's welcome, novices and experts alike. So if you're just learning about the crypto space with all these different three-letter acronyms and buzzwords and hype and everything, or you're somebody who's working, who's got a project going at the moment, who'd like to talk more about what you're doing, come along and join us. Details in the link below, and as I say, everyone is welcome. So hope you enjoy this session. As always, do click on like, subscribe, make comments. Even more important, do come along and join us. So with that, let's see who's going to come and connect with us today. Hey Annie.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you today?
Yes, not too bad.
Excellent. Good. Let's see what we're going to talk about today then. Let's see who shows up, and I'm sure you always have some interesting insights and questions and that. So see that. And then we've got our regulars like Gabriella as well, who's joining us. Hey, Gabriella. Good
Hello,
evening to you.
Gabriel.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hey. How's it going, Gabriella?
Great. Thank you very much.
Now, are you going to stay quiet again, or are you going to ask some good questions, or do something this week?
It'd be nice to hear from you, Gabriel.
Okay, so related to the last session, we spoke about the decentralized exchanges.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been deeply learning, so just checking some videos in YouTube and related news about it. And I have a question. Okay, first, what are the advantage and disadvantage of using different blockchains for decentralized exchanges? Because I'm a bit confused, because if I am correct, they are different blockchains using on different and what when if you just an example, if you decide to use one decentralized exchange, do you have to choose one of them because of the blockchain they are using?
So let me try and answer this, because it's two.
Thank you.
It's at least two different questions there.
Exactly.
First of all, is about different blockchains. So each blockchain typically will have its own cryptocurrency associated with it. So the Bitcoin blockchain has got Bitcoin, the Ethereum blockchain has got Ethereum, Solana blockchain's got Solana, and so on. So that they're the what known as native cryptocurrencies, and they're what are used to provide a financial incentive to miners and so on to secure that blockchain. Okay, so a blockchain is one thing. Think of it as a database instance. Okay, and there might be a cryptocurrency associated with that. Different blockchains exist for different, because the blockchains have been designed for different purposes. So the Bitcoin blockchain was the original, or one of the original type things. Basically, I still think of it as an experiment. It's an experiment to prove the concept of peer-to-peer value transfer without an intermediary. And that's all it does. It allows you to transfer from an amount of crypto to B without anybody else in between. And that was its kind of goal. Then you've got other blockchains. You've got Ethereum, which was designed to be a programmable world computer, is the description. And this is where smart contracts come into play. And the idea is that you've got logic built in to the execution of the code and everything. And so that develops different capabilities. Both of those blockchains are quite slow in performance. So Bitcoin, a new block is mined every, I think it's 10 minutes, I think. And it's about typically 2,000 records in it, I think it is. So to actually process transactions, it's actually quite slow. Ethereum, I think it does roughly double the transactions, and it's a few minutes faster. But again, it's not particularly fast. You then compare to things like Solana, where Solana has been designed from the outset to be high performance. So that is more suited for if you want to do rapid transactions or whatever. And then you've got others. You've got Cardano and various other things. So the different blockchains have got different purposes, and they've been designed, developed for different reasons. So that's one half of the question you were asking.
And
Then the
what
other thing is
about
around. Sorry, go
expand?
ahead.
Yes, sorry. And what about security?
Yeah, so that they
From what?
may deploy different security models. They may deploy different forms of what is known as consensus, which is ultimately the securing of the network and the securing of the data on the blockchain. So Bitcoin, for example, uses proof of work as a consensus mechanism. So this is this whole idea that there are crypto miners around the world, and figuring out the answers to this puzzle, and they're doing it all around the world, and there's lots of computing power on it, and that's what secures the network, not necessarily secures the contents or everything, but it secures the integrity of the network. And Ethereum, they switch from proof of work to proof of stake, but again, similar kind of concept of how that all works. Different blockchains use different security models or different consensus protocols. I don't know that much about them, but sometimes that can be different.
And privacy?
Well, privacy, yeah. So you've got it. Bitcoin is designed to be pseudo-anonymous, which means if you take a look at a Bitcoin transaction, everybody can see it. It's a public blockchain, so you can log into a blockchain explorer and you can see every transaction going through. But all it has is the from wallet address, the to wallet address, and the date and time and the amount of Bitcoin that was transferred. So it's pseudo-anonymous because you can see it, but you don't know who it is. However, there are ways of figuring out who it is. And this is what happened a few years ago in, I think it was Sweden, where there was an undercover drugs operation going on with the police. And what they did was they did an undercover drug deal with a dealer and they paid in Bitcoin. And one of the things is that if you make a payment, you know the address of the wallet it's going to. So if I happen to pay for something that's illicit and I pay Rodrigo via wallet address 1234, I now know that wallet is owned by him. And so the Swedish police use that to great effect to actually track and trace all transactions against that wallet. Because once you've done one transaction to a wallet and you know who owns it, if they then reuse that wallet, then you can see all the other transactions. Okay, so it's pseudo-anonymous, again, as I say, because you can see the transactions, but you don't necessarily know who they are. If you look at other blockchain protocols, so Dash and Monero in particular, they're consciously designed to completely obfuscate or hide who the participants are. Okay, so there you've got a much lower level of transparency because you can't easily figure out who it is who's paying whom. So different blockchains, that they use different security mechanisms, either to protect the network or to obfuscate the participants, or to provide performance and so on. Does that answer your question so far, Gabriel?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but you mentioned blockchain data, base data,
Yeah.
or blockchain algorithm.
Okay. So the blockchain consensus mechanism. So this is the system which the miners operate to create new blocks and the security around that. That's where they all compete to solve a puzzle, where there's a cryptographic calculation they have to do. They all have a race, and that is done through an algorithm, which works out what the answers are. And it's an algorithm that's designed that is meant to be computationally difficult to create. So effectively, it's like creating a fingerprint or a unique identifier, but you can very easily validate it. So one of the great things about cryptography is that you can design algorithms that are incredibly complex to create, or to use, but very easy to verify. Okay, so Bitcoin's an example of that. So the Bitcoin blockchain has increasing levels of complexity built into it, so that if there's more and more powerful computers going onto the network, the complexity gets harder and harder. So it's designed around that way, but it's designed so it's actually very easy to verify that the answer is correct. So that's quite a neat feature of cryptography. So that's probably it in terms of the blockchain and the security. And it's the security of the network, by the way. This is not the mechanism used to secure the wallets, which provide access to the blockchain. And this tends to be one of the weak spots that you will tend to find that people who've had their crypto stolen, it won't be that the blockchain has been hacked. It won't be that the security of the blockchain itself has been compromised. It will be that the wallet has been compromised in some way. So an example of that would be if someone has inadvertently installed some malware on their computer that allows a hacker to monitor the access details to their crypto wallet. And then they can steal funds by pretending to be that wallet. So this is where quite often you get what called phishing attacks, and this is where a scammer will send an email out to tens of thousands of people to say, "Hi, it's Binance here. There's been a hack on our system. We need you to log in and reset your password. Click this link to do this." And it's stunning that even now people will still click on that link. It'll take the person to a fake website that looks like a real one, and they'll put their user ID and their password in and everything. The hacker gets those details, goes straight to a real Binance account, logs in using those credentials, changes the password, and then sends a message back to the original person to say you've put the wrong password in, and locks them out. So that is something that is not the fault of the blockchain. It's a fault of, in effect, of the person looking after their own wallet. Is that a comprehensive enough summary on that, Gabrielle? There are other ways to hack into these things, but that's probably one of the major ones.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so now part two of your question, because you're asking about the decentralized exchanges and the benefits and the risks in that. And this is where the difference between a centralized exchange and decentralized exchange. So some of the ones we know of that are familiar, Kraken, Binance, and so on, they are based somewhere. At times it can be a bit of a challenge to find out which country they're actually resident in, but they are a legal entity that exists somewhere, that their infrastructure exists somewhere, and they are centralized, and they do things like KYC checking, so know your customer. So this is why if you create an account with a centralized exchange, you'll need to provide evidence of who you are. So things like passports, bank account details, and so on. They tend to have pretty good security, and so they control things, but ultimately the crypto exchange, if it's centralized, unless you take your crypto off the exchange, then there is the risk that if that exchange is hacked, then your crypto can be stolen. So that's a disadvantage of a centralized exchange. The other thing is that I mentioned that on a centralized exchange, they'll normally do KYC checks. So they'll want evidence of who you are, so your passports and this kind of stuff. Some people don't want it to be known who they are. And decentralized exchanges tend to have fewer checks. And some of them, I believe, don't even ask who you are. They just allow you to create a wallet, link into their exchange and trade. So there's no KYC. So an advantage of a decentralized exchange is the anonymity of it. However, the risk then is that if someone trades on a decentralized exchange, which is completely anonymous, and then they transfer some funds and they transfer them to your wallet where it goes onto a centralized exchange, then the centralized exchange might say, oh, we're not touching that because it's come from somewhere that we don't know who it was. And that would compromise the governance processes. And so they might reject it or refuse it or whatever. So there is this problem of using decentralized exchanges that sometimes other people won't then touch that crypto for fear of breaking anti-money laundering regulations. So that's a couple of the differences between centralized and decentralized exchanges. Does that all make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Is there
Gary.
a fault? Go on, Dan. And good
Gary,
evening, by the way.
yes, good evening, good evening. I wanted to share this probably last week, but I don't think we're on the right topic. So I thought this is the perfect topic to bring my little story up that I had, and I wanted to share it with you, but with everyone else. So basically, a few weeks ago, one of my best friends was hacked via his. So he held all of his cryptocurrency on a centralized exchange called Kraken. And he basically was accessing his Kraken through his computer, which didn't really have any antivirus or anything like that, didn't have any kind of cyber security on it, quite an old laptop.
Okay.
And he was, transferring cryptocurrency between exchanges that were more compatible to kind of like day trade and leverage trade, and he ended up clicking on the wrong Kraken link, and ultimately losing a lot of what you would call like that transfer to fiat money, which was horrendous, like a horrendous experience, because I had him on the phone at very late at night and we're scrolling through the Kraken T's and C's, and the worst thing about it was I'd bought him a cold wallet for his birthday months before, and he hadn't used it.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought because we were talking about exchanges and centralized exchanges, it was important to bring that up. So everyone get a cold wallet if you have cryptocurrency.
That's a great example, Dan. Thanks. Yeah, and I know someone who he used to come along to my groups when I used to hold them in person, and he shared a similar story where even though he worked in IT, and actually sometimes they're some of the worst people because they think they know everything about cybersecurity, he had an email from Binance to say, oh, we've had a compromise. We need everyone to reset their passwords, blah, blah, blah. Exactly as I said before. Click on the link. And he didn't give it a second thought, just in a moment of thinking he just wanted to get it over with, which is why hackers will always instill a sense of urgency in some way. And he clicked on the link, and it took him to what he thought was the Binance website. For all intents and purposes, it looked like the login and everything. And sure enough, as I said before, he put his details in and then got bounced. And then when he quickly realized what had happened, he went on to a blockchain explorer. He said he was absolutely sickened to actually watch his wallet being emptied. And at the time, he had several Bitcoin in it, which at the time, I think it was worth about $10,000 in total. I think he had about 8 Bitcoin. It was worth about $10,000 at the time. What's Bitcoin now? 90-something thousand dollars per Bitcoin. So a substantial sum indeed. Yeah, and he was second exactly that. So yeah, never click on links is something. So if you get an email to say, hey, compromise, blah, 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 always type in the website yourself, and always be careful, even when you type it in, it's a bit like autocomplete. So sometimes it might type in a slightly different address. So make sure it's absolutely right. That's definitely one way of reducing the risk. The other thing as well, some hackers are very clever. They use, I've forgotten the correct term now. It's not homomorphic or heterogeneous, but the website address actually looks correct. But what it is they might do something like, if it's Binance.com, then they might actually use a website which is B1 nance.com. And to the human eye, you don't notice it's a one or an I. Or they'll use like Russian character set. And some of the Russian characters look the same as the Western characters, but it's actually pointing you to a different website. So this is why you should always type these in yourself, and never click on links. And as Dan says, yeah, if you've got a cold wallet, cold wallets are very nice just sitting there, but if you're not actually using them, they're not actually adding any value. And then even with them, even if you've got cold wallets, you'll have a seed phrase, which typically it'll be like a 24 word kind of password type thing, and you're meant to store that somewhere. And there have been occasions where people say, "Oh, I know what I'll do," rather than writing it out and storing it or etching it on something. I'll write it as an email, and I'll save it in my drafts folder on Gmail. And I know some people who've done that. But all that then happens is that if someone hacks their computer and gets into their email, one of the first things they'll do is go to the drafts folder to see if there's anything that says things like my Binance password details or whatever. So yeah, be very, very careful with all of that. So I see we've been joined by a couple of other people. I want to say hi, Rebecca. Welcome back. I've got someone called iPhone. Always a very interesting name, that, when you're named after a device. So welcome aboard, and JT's back as well. Fantastic. So particularly when we talk about cyber security and that kind of thing, I'm sure.
I was listening to that. My background. So I will say a few more things about that. So hackers, they also are doing something clever, which is they prepare ahead, and they'll actually register a similar domain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and very, very similar, and it could be a combination of many things. Yeah, but they actually put that with on Google. They'll pay for the advert, to be on the top. Yeah, so when people actually searching and type in Binance, it comes there first at the top, and when you're actually clicking, you are going to a fake website. Yeah.
Yep.
This is so clever. I haven't seen that before. So even they are paying for Google keywords to be right at the top. It's crazy, all the things that they try these days. And also, please do not share your address with people. Try to avoid do that. There's a lot of capturing at the moment of addresses of people through all different purposes, but in the end, is to track people that have crypto, yeah? And if you go out and talk at conference, oh, yeah, these and that, like we see many people, you guys, I don't know if you saw the news, but last month, the co-founder of Ledger, he was kidnapped, yeah? And they cut, I don't know if it was his finger or his hand, so threatening his wife and kid, to get to their wallets. I think they cut one of the fingers, but someone posted that they cut the hand. So I didn't want to go further down and try to find what it was cut because it's so horrific, basically it was followed, when they found out where he was living, then the whole thing happened, Thank God nobody died because the special police in France, like this equivalent to SWAT team, eventually found out. I don't know the full story, but they found out what was happening and they come and save them. It's crazy. Every time I think about that, it's horrific, honestly.
Yeah, and in fact, it's interesting you say about not sharing your address, because it used to amaze me how often people would post up their wallet address in public and say, send their, and they put it on open forums. And that's a little bit like posting your bank account details in public. It's just something pretty silly. And then Elena actually came up with a really interesting point. And this is when we went through the craze of people beginning to have NFTs as their avatars. Because now, all of a sudden, you've got an avatar linked to an NFT, and an NFT linked to a wallet address. So potentially they could figure out your wallet address from your avatar. I thought that was profoundly fascinating, Elena. I don't know, you recall that?
No, I remember that conversation, that session. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
referring more to the physical address where you live, you know?
Right. Yeah.
That is so dangerous nowadays. Really dangerous. So be careful, whatever forms, whatever things, try to minimize to the people who actually know where you live. You know, that's the rule.
It's about preserving as much privacy as you can. It was really interesting. Earlier on today, I got a message from someone wishing me happy birthday, which was really nice. And I said, thank you. It's not my birthday. And he said, oh, well, on this social media site, it says this is your birthday today. I said, I never put my real birthday on social media. So, you know, you see it a lot where, like, on, you know, the main social media sites, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, that people put their real birth dates in.
Which, that is even more dangerous.
Yeah. It's like an invariably, you know, the basic forms of security that people typically have are questions like, you know, what is your address? What is your date of birth? What is your favorite dog? All this kind of thing. And this is where I think there was a phase a few years ago where there was the craze, particularly on Facebook, I think it was, of quizzes. And the quizzes would be, they'd always be things that would have simple questions and answers, but they'd always ask things like, you know, what's your mother's maiden name? Or where were you born? And then in actual fact, when you look through this quiz, which had all these innocuous type questions of, you know, what's your favorite dog's name? What's your favorite football team? And they just throw them in. And what it was just a great way of collecting all your personal information of the kind of questions that you then get when you have to validate your identity in some way. So yeah, it's like try to avoid sharing things unnecessarily is my kind of recommendation.
Did you see that this week there was some hacker that did something quite clever. Clever, it's bad, of course, but I thought it was clever because the way he has done it, you know, it's never a clever thing to do it actually. So he basically, I think he found a way to hack Twitter, the whole posts of Twitter. Do you remember I posted that in one of the groups, Gary? So he or she, changed an old Trump post from 2013, and it actually, people haven't realized that he actually changed the image, and they put the address of a token and the actual symbol of a token, and everybody thought that was Trump launching a token, another token. It was one of his posts, and then only people later realized it was from 2013, and pump.fund didn't exist in 2007. There's so many people going. I think he went to about 10 million or 15 million market cap very, very quickly. And then the hacker just sold everything in one go, because he created token originally. So, and he scammed quite a lot of money. He actually did two, one for Trump, and I think one of, if I'm not mistaken, old Elon's post as well. You know.
It's funny, JT. I was going to say it's kind of as you and I will both know, crypto keeps repeating itself. It goes around in cycles, and I'm sure some of us will remember the ICO craze of 2017, 2018, where lots of projects were launching their crypto tokens in order to do fundraising, and everyone was buying into them at the time on the basis that they'd rocket up in value and they'd make loads of money in that. And there was a number of occasions where there were ICO launches, so initial coin offerings, as they were called, where the company or the project team would be announcing, oh, well, we're going to be doing a raise, we're doing it via this token, blah, blah, blah. And they're all completely legitimate in their intent, okay? But at the last minute or a day before, I know a few occasions where the website was hacked, the Twitter account was hacked, and there'd be a sudden announcement of, oh, we're just pushing ahead with the launch, we're pulling it back by 6 hours or whatever. And it was then linking to fake details, exactly as you're saying about the other stuff. And I remember seeing that. There's one, funnily enough, and Dan might find this of interest because it was actually in the insurance sector, where there was a company who were doing a fundraise around crypto in the insurance sector it was 2017. May have actually been earlier. And they were compromised. The website was hacked, and exactly this happened. And they realized what was going on. They managed to get everything shut down and that, sorted out the security. I think about $2 million was stolen, if I remember correctly. I might have that wrong. And then the next thing they did was they pushed ahead and launched. Whereupon the hacker went, well, I've hacked you once. And you didn't figure out how I did that. So I think they hacked them again. And so they had a second bite at the cherry and again intercept Twitter things and this kind of thing. So yeah, be very, very careful out there. Do not trust what you see on Twitter. Do not click on links. Do not trust Google, any other search engines, because they can all be
I think actually X didn't even figure out yet, or they don't know, because I checked yesterday, I didn't check today, but the images are still there. So what that means is the guy probably hacked the Twitter CDN or the X CDN. Yeah? The actual post is hacked because initially people thought, yeah, it's Twitter has these redirection links, that is set up. So people saying, hey, the redirection link expired. So this hacker found out a way to take that redirect to the actual token itself, which is that exactly what happened. But it also means that image is on the Twitter CDN. So how did it get there? And it has the pump.fun logo on it. Yeah, obviously in 2013 there was no pump.fun, which means the actual post itself was hacked. So if that's possible, it means there is a way to change images on Twitter, on the Twitter CDN. And that changes completely the game, because how can you trust when you see something now on X, So yes, you're right. You need to be very careful, double validate everything. I'm still trying to figure out how the guy did it, I'm still a bit confused with the whole thing. I think the only way is really to the guy hacking the Twitter CDN as well, and they can change the image of the post of 2013.
I think the lesson for everybody on this is don't trust anybody, don't trust anything, and always be very, very careful with anything that you do. And I've seen some great examples, but both in the crypto and the wider cyber world, where some hackers are very creative in what they do, even to the extent of doing things like, I know of one hack, which wasn't of crypto, but it was still valid, whereby someone figured out that the chief security officer of quite a big company was into a particular breed of dog. I think it was like Chihuahua or wherever. And that the hacker found this out from one of their social media posts where they were already trolling them on Instagram or whatever. Find out that this guy was really into this particular breed of dog, and in fact, took his dog to dog shows and everything. And so the hacker sent an email that looked like a generic, hey, we are from the Dogs Trust or whatever. We're doing an exhibition this weekend. We've got a final few slots, but we've only got them available currently for Chihuahuas or whatever. And so they wrote a very clever email that the guy, who should have known better because he was a security officer, went, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, that won't be a fake scam because it's so specific. Which, when you're spear phishing, which is targeting individuals and that, it was very cleverly written, and he clicked on the link, and that was the point at which his entire server infrastructure became compromised. And And the clever thing about a lot of server compromises or system compromises these days, and again in the insurance industry, I think it's the old joke now. I think something like 85% of companies know that they've been hacked. The other 15% don't realize it. The reality is everyone is being hacked, and they're getting intercepts constantly, that kind of thing. And so the server was compromised, and I think they were subject then to a ransomware type thing where the data was compromised and everything. So fascinating stuff. I always say that the leading edge of technology, the industry, because everyone thinks which industry is the most advanced in technology. The most advanced industry is always criminals. Because they've got a high opportunity to innovate, they've got low regulatory burdens, and it's usually provides great opportunities. So criminals tend to be right at the leading edge, and then it's slightly less illegal industries tend to be the followers. So really interesting stuff. Anyway, so that was that. An interesting topic to discuss. Anyone got any questions or comments as we're going along?
May I just add a little comment that since the moment I joined and was listening to all the safety recommendations, everything you said is so much common sense, relevant, and not very complicated, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even when you mentioned to be careful that a website might be made out of Russian letters, the Russian letters that look similar to the English alphabet letters. Actually, that's super simple.
Yep.
And that can trick someone. So hopefully not me, potentially in future, because I'm now aware of that.
You'll watch out for it. But my experience, not just in crypto, but everything in general, is that actually there's no such thing as common sense. It's interesting that common sense has to necessarily be based on experience and knowledge. And this is why I'm never convinced by things like IQ tests and that, because they're actually based on you actually having knowledge about things. If you didn't know about this, why would common sense apply? Because you simply wouldn't be aware of it. So I actually don't believe the concept of common sense. And this is where I started this group originally to try and educate and inform people about some of these things, which are things that some people go, oh, I'd never thought of that. It's like, that's great, because that's part of the purpose of this kind of thing. Yeah, good point though, Elena, definitely.
Yeah. Just to add to that, Elena, I consider myself a very experienced guy in cyber, in crypto. Yeah, I fall once for that, in 2021, and there is always a time in your life where you are not really concentrated. So when you're dealing with crypto, yeah, make sure you slept well. No emotions, no something going on. Just don't rush to do any of that. That's what happened to me. I connected to a website without actually doing the full DD on it, and I gave them permission to actually do anything on my wallet. And when I noticed that, I was so quick that I revoked immediately, because I realized, shit, let me have a look at this, because I realized, like, within about a minute what I've done. And I went back and revoke all the stuff that I authorized that website to do, yeah? Because it looked a copy exactly of a website that I wanted to buy a token, yeah? And they knew people wanted to buy this token. It was going to enable, they're going to do it through their website. And this hacker creates something very similar. And they were just spamming all the groups. So I thought, and I thought it was the genuine one. And when you connect your wallet to websites, there's sometimes permissions that they ask, and a lot of people don't understand all these permissions, and one of them is actually to control your wallet, yeah? And that's it. That's when they empty your wallet of all the funds. But I revoked everything in 30 seconds. I was like, oh my God, and the guy didn't have time to go through my wallet. He was probably going through many other wallets that were being connected at the time, you know. So I was very lucky.
And this is where, again, it does come down to, you know, personal security hygiene, about not sharing things, not doing those kind of things. This is why when I first started doing recordings of this session, we seemed to go through a phase where people would say things like, "Oh, I've got 25 ETH in a Binance wallet at the moment." It's like, I had to edit it out. Because you don't want to be saying how much you've got, which crypto you've got, which wallets you're using, anything like that. And it used to astound me that, you know, people would say, "Hello, I'm new here. You know, I've got, here's my wallet address," and blah blah blah. They never quite went that far, but it's remarkable. I found in crypto, people were incredibly open about stuff that they really shouldn't share. Because they didn't know any better. And it comes back to Elena's point of common sense. People just didn't realize how much they're exposing themselves. And they'd say things like, right, okay, well, my seed phrase at the moment, I've got 23 of the words right, and they are blah, blah, blah. And I wonder if you can help me with the 24th word or whatever. And this is why, as well, I'm seeing it a lot at the moment on YouTube in particular. I know that when I post this recording, somebody will make a comment on it, and somebody will always say, "I've got a new wallet. I'm new to this space. I've got USDT or Trust wallet or whatever. My seed phrase is blah 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 blah. Can anyone help me transfer it into cash or something?" Now, actually, they're not a real person who wants help with that. They are a hacker who is hoping someone is going to respond with, "Don't put your seed phrase in, that's really bad, blah, blah, blah." Because straight away, what you've now done is you've alerted the hacker to the fact that you actually understand about crypto. So you might be an opportunity to be hacked yourself. So always be careful about that. So admittedly, I always do respond, because the very fact I'm publishing videos about this stuff means I probably know a little bit about it. But you see it all the time with these little clever social hacks of, particularly on like Facebook groups and YouTube channels and that, where people say, "Oh, can anyone help me? I've got this USDT and here's my seed phrase," because they just know that someone with good intent will say, "Don't ever publish that." But what they're actually doing is they're trying to find out the details of anyone who might have their own crypto wallets who they can then target. So be careful out there, everybody. So what else is going on in people's worlds at the moment? We've got 15 minutes left. Any thoughts, questions, observations, anything in the news? I see Bitcoin is heading down through 95,000 last time I looked at it. Seems to be gently heading lower and lower. Anyone got any thoughts?
Particularly about the Trump token. Have you seen where it's going?
No. What's happening with it,
$20 already.
It's a 20. 20 going back up or 20 continuing down?
It's tremendously down. Oops.
Let me go and find that in a moment while we're talking about that then. Because that did go up to...
So this week there is quite a few tokens that are going to have... They're going to release locks, yeah, that they have.
Okay.
So Sui is one of them. There's quite a big list. Somebody was talking about it in one of the groups.
Okay. So
so when you have some of the tokens, top tokens being released, yeah, from their locking period, you always see some of these exits from people who are large holders, yeah, of whatever different type of tokens, so they are not get that's Bitcoin. No, that's Trump. Yeah.
This. Oh, is that? Sorry, am I looking at the wrong one? It's just Trump.
No, you are. Yeah, it's the right one. Yeah.
It's on Meteor, but yeah, you're right. It racked up. It went up beyond 46, didn't it? It made it 75 at one point. But
75 billion.
It's not shown on the candle here, and then it's settled right back down about $20.
It's at 4 billion market cap still. Can you see on the right side?
Yep. Yeah.
No, the right side below below. You see the market cap.
Yeah, that's
Still at 4
insane.
billion market cap. But that's because there was only 20% of the supply that they put out. Yeah, 80% is locked. So in 2 months, 2 more months, and then is unlocked 80% of the supply. That's going to be taking the token to a very bad place.
And that's and the smart money will have escaped from that. Yep.
As already, for sure, you know. So I don't know who's holding still that, but I foresee very, very soon the US changing all the laws and meme coins are going to be allowed because Trump did one. There's no way out of that, you know. He doesn't want to get prosecuted, so
Yep.
he doesn't want to get prosecuted for sure. So he's going to make sure they legalize it. That's the only way, because the amount of money that they made, it's insane, you know. So he's going to make sure that the SEC and the Congress passes a law that makes it illegal. There's no other way for him to do it.
And that's where I'm finding it interesting as well. The general appetite for crypto regulatory rise is clearly going to be pushed in favor of it, and yet we're seeing Bitcoin dropping at the moment. And you would have thought if there's going to be more regulatory clarity, which makes it more acceptable, you would have thought, if anything, that crypto prices would be going up. Maybe they're being affected by something else. You know, maybe someone said something at the World Economic Forum, because I think, as always, there's lots of talk about crypto going on at Davos these days. I don't know what's leading to the current descent pattern. So other questions, Annie. You look like you were about posed a strike there.
I think from what Gabriel asked earlier, I just wondered, so does that mean Trump coins and every other meme coins or whatever you call them, does that mean they're all on different blockchain?
They tend to be on a few. Originally, I think they were mainly on the Ethereum blockchain. Then Solana, I think, is a popular one.
And
for meme coins.
BSC, the Binance chain as well.
Binance chain, yep. So that they are on different chains.
Okay.
Which is where, again, there are companies who are looking at things like cross-chain interoperability.
Yep.
So the whole idea that if you've got a token on one blockchain, how do you effectively transfer that across different chains? And this is where, interesting again, this is where, you know, Alina, again, funnily enough, around things like metaverse, because they're actually conceptually different platforms running metaverses or the metaverse or whatever. So if you've got a token that represents something on a metaverse, say you own a plot of virtual land on one metaverse, or you've got an avatar in a gaming metaverse, how do you transfer that across blockchains or metaverses? So again, the cross-chain interoperability, I've always said, it goes back to the whole thing about, you know, which blockchain is going to win. If we think about a few years ago, there was VHS, Betamax, Philips 2000, as all different types of digital media that you could plug into your TV. And there's the whole thing about Betamax was technology-wise better than VHS. VHS was better marketed, and so VHS kind of won that war. The real winner in that war of technologies was actually the companies that produce SCART sockets. Because SCART sockets, the things that go on the back of the TV set, that meant it actually didn't matter if you plugged in a VHS or a Betamax. And that's where I think the companies who specialize in blockchain interoperability, I think they're the really interesting ones to keep an eye on, because they're doing stuff that will be needed in the future.
Yes, I happen to know one of those companies, but probably not the time to expose who they are yet. But yeah.
Yep. And there are a few companies that specialize in that area. But yeah, I definitely think that blockchain interoperability, the idea to be able to transfer digital assets across blockchains, I think is
It's
a really
very,
interesting
it's
area.
not, the problem to do that is every blockchain is different, so people have created bridges, yeah?
Yes.
And the problem is always the liquidity of the token on another blockchain, yeah? Because it's a pair that exists on the other blockchain, which means the other blockchain has a different token, yeah? And you actually need to provide supply of your token to the other blockchain as well, yeah? Which means you need to create a smart contract on the other blockchain as well to have a part of the supply of your token. So all of these it's not that straightforward, you know. There's people working on all different type of solutions for that. That's why layer zeros have appeared and so on, yeah. But to your point about meme coins on chains, a lot of people don't understand that many chains love to have meme coins because it increases their TVL. Yeah, as people are launching a meme coin on a new chain, oh, it's the first meme coin on this chain, and then whatever, they create all of this hype, and everybody comes there to buy that meme coin, and of course that increases the TVL for the chain, yeah, which is good for them. Yeah, that's what they need. They need transactions, TVL. They pushes their token up. People are buying their token to swap for the meme coin token. Yeah, it's all about that. That's pretty much the game.
Yeah, thank you, JT. It then create another question here. So does that mean that it is visible if you go on to the website to know which one is on which blockchain, if you prefer to have a range of those that are on the same blockchain? It's almost like analogy for that is like you go for a bank account, and then rather than just opening the current account, you also open a savings account or whatever on the same bank, right? So that you can transfer easily. So is that something that visibility of which meme coins or bitcoins on that particular blockchain, so that you can put your assets in one blockchain?
So a meme coin, yeah, has an address. Yeah, it's a contract address. Yeah, so if you go to Dex Screener, for example, or Dex Tools, this type of tools that Gary had one of them open on the browser. Yeah, there's there in the actual screen you can see the blockchain address. When you click on that, do you mind to take that Trump to the Dex screen, or can you put back we can show? And when you click on that, it actually takes you to the blockchain explorer. In this case, Trump is, you can type Trump. In the case of Trump, is really Solana, yeah, but it could be any other. But yeah, can you click? Yeah, if you go then on the right side, yeah, I can't remember where it is. I think it's further down. Yeah, down. Go down, down, down. You see, it is there. Oh, up, up, up. It says there on Trump. Can you see the contract address? Click on EXP. Yeah, on EXP. Yeah.
For the Explorer.
That takes you to this, and it shows you Solana Explorer. So it tells you all about the token. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you go to the screener, back to the main screen, Gary.
Yep.
Go no, it's in another tab. Yeah. So go to the main screen of Dex Screener. You will see there on the left side on the list is you see S. That means Solana. No. On the actual list of the tokens, there's a small little symbol there. On each one, you see Pain, IQ1, Binance. There is a S there. Straight away after 1, 2, 3, the S. No, on the left side. Sorry.
Well, it does actually say /sol.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's actually the symbol of Solana. It's there. Okay. Yeah. And
you mean after number 1?
Yeah. So
the logo of Solana.
Yeah, the logo of Solana. If you scroll down, then is the logo of Sui. You scroll down, Keep
Yeah.
scrolling down. You see the logo of SUI, etc. But on the left side, Gary, you can actually then Moonshot, Solana, Ethereum, you can actually filter. If you click on Base or Ethereum, it only shows Base and Ethereum tokens, yeah?
Oh, I
For
see.
example.
Yeah.
So all of these tools now are really well done, where you can just very quickly switch between the blockchains, you know?
All right, okay. Thank you. That is very helpful. Thank you, JT.
And the other additional thing on that as well, it was really good. You take a look at the top here, it also lists off the main dexes that support them. So you can actually look at like, Sushi Swap and Pancake Swap and everything with the different exchanges. So yeah, as JT says, that these are very information rich web pages these days, really, really useful. So yeah, so coming back to your point, Annie, it's really about if you don't want to get too much risk of a single platform, for example. So you may not want to just put everything into tokens that are based on Solana, because if there's a problem with the Solana blockchain, then there's a problem with all of your tokens all of a sudden. So some people might do it where they'll put some on Solana tokens, some on whatever type shops or whatever. JT, I haven't got this set up so you can share.
Well, he's sharing. I just wondered, okay, so if somebody knows a bank is going to go to administrative or they're going to go bankrupt, there'll be a long queue of people outside trying to withdraw their money. Now then, if you have different blockchain, and if one of them, say, you discover that they're going to go bankrupt or for whatever reason, how is it easy, because of the interoperability between blockchain is difficult, as JT pointed out, it's not so easy to withdraw the whatever that you have in that particular blockchain then.
No, there is always a bridge, yeah? And the problem is sometimes the bridges are down, or if the hacker hacked the bridge, then you can't move it out of that chain, yeah? Also, so it can be a problem. If you are on a centralized exchange, on a SEX, usually, depending on which one, but if it's one of the big ones, you're always a little bit protected, yeah? So they kind of take the responsibility of certain types of hacks. Others, they don't. If it's gone, it's gone. It's not their fault. It's the chain fault, yeah? So I use a specific one if I want to accelerate between the bringing across chains, yeah? I think it's called Rocket X, if I'm not mistaken. Rocket X. Yeah, rocketx.exchange. Yeah, that's the one I use. But again, that's about 3 or 4 that exist. I like rocketx.exchange because I never had any problems, and I can swap between chains. Yeah. So you basically click on the Ethereum network, for example. Gary, can you see?
Where am I looking there?
Yeah, click there. And that's going to take you, it takes you to another interface. Now you need to click again on the Ethereum network. Click on Ethereum network on the box.
Yeah.
And then you would select from which chain, and which token on each chain you want to send to which token on whatever chain, and it does the conversion automatically. So let's say you are on Ethereum USDT, select USDT, there at the top, Then you click on the one below, Ethereum, on the box on the left. Left. Yeah, click, no, the bottom one.
The bottom one?
Yeah, what it says Polygon.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, okay.
Click there, and if you say, you want to send to Solana, or you scroll down, no, on the left side, the list of the chains, you click on Solana.
Okay, there's optimism, and then there's SUI.
Let's go for SUI,
Or SUI, and you select SUI token, for example. That's it. Then you can send whatever USDT you have in Ethereum, and it will do the swap for you automatically. It will give you options on the right, which option is better for you, yeah. And then you select one, and you do that swap. It's quite interesting, you know.
Oh,
So
so
any chain, any token on that chain to any chain, any token on the other chain that they support, basically.
wow. So Rocket X is like a interoperability product. Or
Yes.
Okay.
It's basically integrated with all the chains, and they can do swaps between chains.
Oh, thank
So
you.
a really useful thing on that. Final thing on cybersecurity there as well is that you'll have noticed that I was happy to share my screen with the details because it didn't show any wallets connected. And I've known people who, in good intent, do a YouTube video and they log on to their Binance account or they log on to whatever, and they inadvertently share their personal details again in the video. So I made sure I didn't
Just
do
a
that.
last warning from me.
Yeah.
You know, although this Rocket X exists, I don't know them. I don't know the guys. I've been using it for about 1 year. Never had a problem. But they could be hacked, you know, like any other DeFi product out there. So do always your research before you actually do anything on any of these products. I always do. Even that I know them, I'll go and double verify all the time if I'm on the right website, you know. It's super important to do this.
That's a really good point to finish on, JT. Thanks for that. And thanks for sharing that as well. Right, we're out of time. Really interesting thing. Fascinating stuff about cyber and the risks and how to protect yourself and why there's no such thing as common sense. Because actually, when you look at this stuff, it's not that common or sensible, is it? It's quite complex, some of it. So anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thanks for joining. Hope to see you all next week.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Very much.
No problem. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.